welcome to everybody. We are super excited to have this time together. First, for all of the winners to get to be in the same room together, and just to say congratulations to you, to all of our finalists and our participants for going through this 10-week speed round of finding partners, getting inspiration, and contributing to open innovation. We are really excited to be here with all of you, and I'm going to talk very little so you all can talk more. But since there's a lot of us, we're going to do a little bit of speed sharing. So everybody's going to have about 5 minutes to talk about their projects, what they're hoping to do with the prize money moving forward, and then any reflections you want to share about the challenge. Was there anything surprising? Is there a memorable moment for you? Just overall, everybody will be sharing. So I will share my screen and show the slides that you shared with me. And we will go from there. So welcome, everybody. Perfect. We have a lot of people in attendance as well. So let me start. Right here. All right, can everybody see the screen? Perfect. I'll just start by saying I'm going to do a brief overview, and then our winners will get to talk, and then we'll do some closing words with CSA and Aon, and that'll be it. That will be the wrap today. So I'll just start by reminding everybody what the challenge was about. The Climate Resiliency Challenge focused on how might we empower frontline communities to prevent, prepare for, and recover from the most urgent climate-related disasters. So a lot of you in the room work around wildfires, floods, or extreme weather like hurricanes, hail, droughts, heat waves. And we particularly focused on frontline communities to make sure that we are serving those who need the most urgent support and recovery. Quick shout out to all of our challenge partners who were not only sponsoring, but also providing mentorship, are looking to help our winners grow and collaborate in the future as well. So really quick, some of our exciting numbers from the challenge was we had a total of 418 submissions to the challenge in just 7 short weeks of open submission. Out of these submissions, we had 34 who were selected as finalists. There were over 50 judges involved, independently reviewing each submission, giving scores and feedback, and as a result, we came down to 34 finalists across emerging, mid-stage, and advanced solutions. And in the second round, in the refinement phase, first of all of our finalists got to receive feedback, met with us one-on-one, and worked on improving their submissions. And then finally, we have our 13 winning submissions who are in the room with us, and you're going to hear about all of them. We also had incredible engagement across the board. We had almost 50,000 challenge page views. A lot of people were interested in seeing, participating, commenting, or submitting ideas. We had over 1,500 comments. This was a lot of participants commenting on each other's ideas, as well as other people coming in to give feedback, ask questions, to help us grow our ideas. We also overall hosted over 100 mentor sessions where we met with participants one-on-one to give feedback, answer any questions, and help think about how to improve submissions. And here is a quick look at where our winners are from. We were North America focused, therefore a lot of our winning submissions are located in the United States and Canada. And we're spread across the board with everybody working on different things, from policy to products to AI and data to community networking. So a lot of different exciting ideas. So today, our panelists are going to answer a few questions, which was to introduce yourself and your organization. Would love to hear a bit more about you. The overview of your solution, what was the idea that you submitted? And what's next for you? What are you hoping to do with the prize money? And then lastly, any memorable moments or unexpected or surprising things from this challenge that you want to reflect upon. So looking to hear about these things. All right. I will, before we start, just say that all of our attendees that are listening in, you should be able to use the Q&A function if you have any questions or you want to ask anything. And Isha and I from IDEO will be monitoring and responding to you. Meanwhile, our panelists in the room, you are just welcome to listen in on the other panelists and then present when it's your turn. All right, are we all ready for this speech share? Perfect, let's go. We are not going in any particular order besides going with emerging solutions, mid-stage solutions, and advanced solutions. So we're presenting starting with emerging, and then we're going to move to mid-stage and advanced. So we're going to start with Reef Rocket. Mary, welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Mary, and I created Reef Rocket with Ahmed Mifta and Dr. Helio Take. We developed and tested our solution with the Billion Oyster Project, which is a nonprofit based in New York Harbor, as well as the New York Assembly Harbor School based on Governor's Island, which is a little island in the New York Harbor. Reef Rocket prototypes the use of biocement to grow oyster restoration modules. I'm super excited to share our project with you today and to congratulate and celebrate the other winners. Great job, guys. Next slide, please. So what's biocement? Biocement is a phenomena found in nature where organisms, typically microorganisms, grow cement. Our solution utilizes inert enzymes that we extract from plants to grow cement-like material. The process mimics the natural process oysters use actually to grow their shells, as well as corals use to grow their reefs. Producing a chemically identical substance in just days that can withstand extreme climates and corrosive saltwater. Currently, industrial cement is the most used material on Earth. We're all very familiar with it. After water, it's the most used material. It helps us build our cities, but it's also strained our environment significantly in the process. In fact, for every ton of cement produced, 1 ton of CO2 is released into the atmosphere. This adds up to 8% of global carbon emissions annually. In the climate era, we critically need material like cement that can withstand extreme environments and can help us prevent, recover, and prepare for natural disasters. However, we urgently need to decarbonize the production of cement. Biocement can be harvested locally, producing comparable materials without burning fossil fuels or polluting the surrounding environment. What's more, it cures in 3 to 9 days versus industrial cement's 27-day cure time. This enables a future where durable, long-lasting materials can be grown like a crop. Next slide, please. So we were inspired to make the process of growing cement accessible by employing it in addressing the pressing need to restore natural infrastructure in our local context and our waterfront. From the get-go, we recognized the value of engaging with students and volunteers to actively invest in restoration efforts, and working in collaboration with them, we translated this technical process of growing green cement into a physical solution that could be utilized by millions of people. New York City was once home to one of the world's greatest and most biodiverse ecosystems, the engineer of which was the oyster. Today, that can be hard to imagine, but oysters are really incredible creatures. They filter 50 gallons of water a day, naturally filtering our waterway and building reefs that dampen wave energy and promote biodiversity. Studies show that reefs can actually prevent storm surges by up to 93%. They're the engineer of nature's defense system, and they urgently need our help right now to recover their declining ecosystem and population. So Reef Rocket modules are DIY structures that empower local non-experts who are typically excluded from infrastructure decisions in fabricating climate resilient structures and natural infrastructure, helping nature help us. Next slide, please. So far, we've developed and prototyped material that we're testing in New York Harbor and oyster nurseries. This is a 3-year study we're currently running. With the prize money, we plan to hire students, build out infrastructure, and pilot a fabrication program that enables youth and volunteers to grow oyster reef structures on site on Governor's Island. So this will include both the growth of material from the plants themselves all the way into the structures, as well as the monitoring, deployment, and quantification of the impacts of these reefs. Next slide, please. We see a future where materials can be regenerated and climate resilient structures can be fabricated locally by everybody. We're so thrilled to be participating in this challenge and have had a wonderful time as challenge members. But we're especially thankful for the how might we. It was a really fun prompt to work around, and it really helped us contextualize our idea in the larger context of the problem, as well as the mentorship sessions. Thank you, Isha and Dennis. They were so helpful. It's just been wonderful to participate in this open innovation community. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mary. That was an incredible share and really exciting to see all these beautiful like product designs that you've made. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to our next participant, Capone Innovations, Jordan.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jordan, and I'm the founder of Capone Innovations, a student-led social enterprise from Wilfrid Laurier University in Waterloo, Canada. Do you want to just go to the next slide, please? Thank you. I built Capone Innovations through my interest in how climate change is affecting people in their day-to-day lives to support our frontline communities in Canada, specifically in regard to their access to safe and sustainable housing. In Canada, those on the front line to climate impacts facing the impacts first and worst are Indigenous people, particularly those in the North, where 81% of Indigenous land reserves are at risk of flooding. Permafrost is melting at a rate of up to 1 meter per year, resulting in severe instability to housing foundations. Indigenous communities are at almost 3 times the risk of forest fires, and 10 times the number of Indigenous people die due to forest fires compared to the rest of the population. To tackle this problem, I took a human-centered approach, getting insight from those on the front lines before creating my solution. Last August, I flew up to a remote community in the Northwest Territories to meet with the residents and hear their perspectives. And then I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with industry experts and researching what innovative materials were available to ensure that homes were both climate resilient, current impacts, and sustainable to reduce future impacts. The homes we built with structural insulated panels, created using a unique patented process inspired by the marine industry to ensure the homes are watertight, preventing mold and flood damage. For additional protection, our helical pile foundations raise the homes above the floodline, and we are also working with researchers to insert thermosiphon technology into the piles to preserve the permafrost. The exterior of the home will be sprayed with a sustainable core coating to make the homes fire retardant, and the panels are manufactured off-site, minimizing on-site construction waste. The insulating core upcycles over 450,000 plastic bottles per home, and when assembled, the panels create an airtight building envelope, minimizing energy and heat loss. We're also using renewable energy sources and incorporating passive house and net zero principles into our design. And finally, our interior will be finished with wall and ceiling panels that are not only mold-proof and damage-proof, but also 100% recyclable. Our next steps include heading back up to the Northwest Territories at the end of this month to firm up details with our suppliers and meet with residents to create our first model home, a rendering of which you can see behind me and on the screen that will be built this fall. We are really grateful for the funding that we received through IDEO, which will support not only our travel to the communities to continue building relationships with Indigenous communities in the North, but also to start working on combining the thermosiphon technology with the helical piles and monitoring the soil temperature. This challenge was such a great experience. Building homes is very complex and has been a steep learning curve, but this opportunity gave me the chance to step back and regain focus as to why I'm doing this, to support frontline communities and protect them from climate impacts now and into the future. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jordan. I was personally really inspired when I met with you to talk about your submission. And I really look forward to seeing your first pilot established in the next year. So thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Next up is Creed. Ray, you have the floor. Oh, Ray, you're muted.
Perfect. Okay, now I'm unmuted. Thank you, Dennis. So I'm Ray Elliott, Executive Director of Flip Inc., and we are a 501c3 nonprofit headquartered in rural Dillwyn, Virginia. Our Flip Inc. was formed in 2020, and I am also the architect of our solution, the CREED project, which stands for Climate Resilient Energy Employment for the Disadvantaged. Further to explain the CREED project, it services the disadvantaged population, such as the justice impacted, is our focal point. We will train and certify running a 40-hour compressed and accelerated training program, which is the PV Associate Credential under NABCEP, which is the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. This will enable an untapped workforce to create a trifecta and affect climate resilience through climate action, workforce development, and social sustainability as well. What's next for Flip Inc.? We are currently working with Piedmont Regional Jail, as well as Albemarle-Charlottesville Regional Jail, which services part of the Congressional District 5 in the state of Virginia, to train and certify eligibility for these justice impacted individuals. Our model for training is to enroll, train, credential, employ, and then retain. What is special also about CREED is it takes a whole person approach. We focus on a lot of legislation in climate resilience and in climate policy and environmental justice and also social justice, but without full procedures and full pipeline and pathways for people that we focus on in the disadvantaged groups, there's no continuity. So they fall back into these same barriers and issues. With the CREED project, we seek to fix this as a whole from beginning to end. What do we plan to do with the prize money? We are planning to train up to 40 participants between Piedmont Regional Jail and the Albemarle-Charlottesville Regional Jail, and also pay for their certification fees for the NABCEP PV Associate Credential as well, and also offer support services through our major partners that we're seeking to solidify partnerships with as well. We're in the development phase of that. What did I like about the challenge? I love the fact that it focused on a lot of hard to reach areas, especially being that we're rural. We normally don't hear about these innovative challenges that are afforded to us. And so I was really excited about that. I saw some major competition. So I was honored to be selected for the challenge as well. And what was unexpected was but it was also a great surprise, was the feedback during the middle of the challenge, because normally you go through a grant process or a challenge process and you don't know exactly what you did wrong until after you haven't been selected and you opt for a debrief. So this was very interesting, surprising, and so I really did like that part. Isha, we met and it was a lot of feedback, but it was great. And I'm super excited that we got selected and excited to get this project ongoing as well. Memorable moment was to be selected. Again, we're from a small little rural town. Our area, I'm from a historic area, Union Hill community, and we were affected by the Atlantic Coastal Pipeline. Many of you may have heard about that. And so we were able to come together and support the action against Dominion and Duke Energy. So being selected was very memorable, and this is also something for the history books.
Thank you so much, Ray. I shared this with you before, but we were really inspired by your solution and just how equity focused and community informed you are. So really looking to see you grow and implement those next steps that you had outlined about scaling even more. So congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go back to screen sharing. Also, if you don't have slides and I forget to stop screen sharing, you can just be like, Dennis, can you turn it off? But I will go back right now. All right, next up, we have Urban Ocean Lab. They're going to talk about bridging the climate gap, equitable solutions for climate-driven relocation in coastal cities. And we have Erica here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Sinas. I'm a policy advisor with Urban Ocean Lab. We are a pretty young and small organization, but we are a policy think tank, and our mission is to deliver rigorous, creative, and equitable climate and ocean policy for coastal cities. So our vision really is that coastal cities are climate-ready hubs that embody environmental justice, rigorous policy solutions, and also serve as models for broader policy change at the state and federal levels. So before I talk about our solution, I also want to talk about the challenge that our solution was designed to respond to. So we know that at 6 feet of sea level rise, up to 13 million people in the US are at risk of displacement by the end of the century. And so coastal communities across the country are now navigating complex decisions on how to adapt, and relocation might be necessary in areas where it might no longer be safe to live, both today and in the future. And so at the federal level, relocation used to be this small-scale emergency response to flooding in the rural US. But we're now starting to see a shift in its recognition and broader application as a critical climate adaptation strategy. So with the suite of recent climate legislation that we've seen in the last 2 years, relocation is now being prioritized in federal policy frameworks, programs, and funding opportunities. But we also know that so many of these government-sponsored relocation programs are not sufficient to meet the urgency, scale, and complexity of climate-driven displacement, and that it's also overlaid on top of this legacy of harm for many communities. So this is where we also see the role of coastal cities and communities. About 75% of buyouts in the US in the last decade have now occurred in urban areas, and coastal cities like New York, Houston, and San Francisco are now modeling innovative approaches to relocation in their adaptation strategies. But there's still a lot of work ahead of us to support relocation to be more just and equitable, especially in cities where there's this legacy of discriminatory housing policies like redlining, and high population growth and development, and also uneven distribution of flood protection infrastructure that make equitable relocation more challenging. So our solution is to facilitate a knowledge to action network. So this would be a multi-year initiative that would be designed to convene coastal city governments, community-based organizations, and practitioners to collectively develop justice-centered policy solutions for climate-driven relocation. And so by centering coastal cities and communities in collaboration and in the policy innovation process, we are hoping to bridge the gap between what the current practice is for relocation, which is unjust and inadequate, and its potential for transformative adaptation. And so we've had success with this consensus-based policy platform with the Ocean Justice Forum, which occurred from 2020 to 2022, which you see in the photo, and it involved 19 community-based organizations and nonprofits. And the platform has since been successful in informing local and national ocean justice policies. So we hope to do the same with the Knowledge to Action Network. And so we would be engaging networks across 3 coastal cities in the US, which are to be defined. And the idea is that we would start at the city scale to support cities in developing place-based policy solutions that address their unique challenges. But we would also facilitate cross-city collaboration and learning, because we think this collaborative approach fosters more innovation and accelerates progress. And then finally, we would want to identify local policy solutions that can be scaled to the national level, because we are in this very unique moment now where the federal government is taking this adaptation response seriously, and we have an opportunity to inform how they're cultivating policy around that moving forward. And so what's next for us? We're going to use the prize fund to be convening our convening partners and community partners in this participatory design process. So, participatory design, while we have a framework of the activities and what we would do and what we would hope to achieve, participatory design is really about engaging people end to end of the process. And so we would use the prize money to start there. And what I really appreciated about this, I think the Open Innovation Challenge is amazing to see everybody's solutions, but also, coming from a small nonprofit, also working in community-based organizations previously, a lot of grant applications are really inaccessible. They're time-consuming, complex, difficult to navigate. And so I really appreciated even just the process of it was really accessible to people who might be working in, smaller organizations. And also the ability to apply our creativity to the process itself. I thought the questions were very creative. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Denise and Esha and IDEO and prize partners. Really grateful for this opportunity.
Thanks so much, Erica, for sharing. I will also say, like, a lot of us here also live on a US coastal city, including myself. So I feel personally invested in the future of your work also, and very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of the Knowledge to Action Network. So thank you so much for sharing. All right. Our last emerging solution is synthetic bioshields. And I don't want to say your name wrong, so I'm going to ask you to say it, please, for us.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Human Parhiskar. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Rutgers School of Public Health. Next slide, please. Here I join with my PhD and postdoctoral mentors, Dr. Van den Wy-Mellenberg and Dr. Sedano Lawrence. Together, we introduce and share our vision of a synergistic system that we call synthetic bioshields. So let's start with a simple truth. We're in a tight spot. Just cutting down emissions from different sectors, although necessary, won't be enough to protect our planet from the devastating impacts of the climate change that we're experiencing right now. We need to pull carbon back from the atmosphere, and we need to do it fast, and we need to do it efficiently. So this is a fusion of nature's brilliance with the cutting-edge science of organic chemistry. Through the symbiotic integration of Ozola with MOF, we envision buildings that breathe, that combat climate change actively and provide resiliency for our frontline communities. Ozola is a remarkable aquatic fern renowned for its potent CO2 absorption rate and its rapid growth rate. Next, we have the metal organic frameworks, or MOFs, and these are advanced structures with large surface areas that are a breakthrough in carbon capture and gas separation technology. Why marry the two? Because together they can create an unparalleled system, leveraging the biological process of capturing CO2 and the microporous technology to combat atmospheric CO2 with higher efficiency. Next slide, please. So currently we're employing various strategies in our fight against rising CO2 levels. Here are two emerging solutions for direct air capture. On the right figure, we have technologies such as those from carbon engineering, systems that draw ambient air into a facility where it contacts a liquid solution that chemically binds CO2. And then a series of chemical processes are used to separate and purify the CO2. And despite a lot of advancements in the past decade, they are energy intensive and require inputs like electricity and natural gas, and are accompanied by significant cost and scaling factor. On the left, we have bioenergy with carbon capture and sequestration, or BECS, and it involves growing biomass, such as corn or agricultural waste, and then burning it for energy and storing the captured CO2 underground. This is a promising approach, yet it's challenged by land and resources, a kind of a competition for food and land, and of course, a daunting scale of biomass needed to operate these facilities. Next slide, please. So our solution addresses these challenges head on. Let's break it down to different categories, starting by the efficiency. The very left figure belongs with a paper published in the Journal of Advances in Space Research back in 2012. Researchers use Ozola as a singular support for the oxygen needs of 2 adults confined within the sealed chamber for an entire week. Now think about buildings during wildfire with no access to fresh air because of the air pollution. This can be a life-saving strategy when evacuation is no longer an option. This is also a climate change mitigation. Think about powered solely by sunlight. Imagine capturing over 11 million metric tons of CO2 if we only occupy 10% of New York City's rooftops. Through fermentation of the Ozola biomass, we can drive clean energy, storing the captured CO2 and preserving our gains. Now let's talk about revenue streams. We also envision an approach that not only captures CO2, but also turns it into revenue streams. Carbon credits benefits everyone, from solo apartment owners to the entire community. And by leveraging the power of the blockchain, we ensure an unparalleled transparency and accountability in our process. And this is a step forward toward democratizing carbon credits. Now the question is, what do we do with the Ozola biomass? It's just not waste. It's a source of blue hydrogen fuel, food nutrition, and a valuable feedstock for biorefineries. And the biomass transformed into biochar allows it to sequester CO2 for years to come. And unlike traditional methods that need vast lands or new infrastructures, we use what's already there. Let's think about corporates with vacant office spaces due to work from home, unused rooftops, even window units. This can become our battlegrounds against the climate change. What we hope to accomplish with the prize money is to establish necessary steps toward realizing the idea, including the research around Ozola life support system and the symbiotic relationship between Ozola and MOV. So allow me to say thank you, take the opportunity to extend our deepest gratitude to OpenIDEO and all these team funding organizers. Special thank to Isha and Dennis for all of your mentorship and feedback. Those really helped us improve upon our visual portfolio and storytelling. We are very excited about the journey ahead and the prospects of collaborating closely with each one of you to bring this vision to life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I will say that this is an incredibly interesting and exciting solution, and we were all really excited to see like a truly emerging solution where you can pilot and move forward with proof of concept. So really looking forward to see what comes out of getting to have the prize money and like what the next version of this will be. But super excited, and we'll definitely continue to keep in touch to hear more. All right, awesome. Okay, that was our 5 emerging solution winners. Thank you so much. And everybody, I see people typing in the comments, getting connected and sharing congratulations. Please continue to do that. This is a great moment to get connected. And we're going to continue with our mid-state solutions. And the very first one is Latino Resilience Hub Network by Alianza Center. There are a few people here, so I'm going to say Frank is sharing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll be the one sharing.
All right. Would you like me to show the video, or do you want to talk first?
Let's start with the video.
All right, let's go.
I think the sound is not playing.
Oh. Okay. That is unfortunate for me. Let me see. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Gratitude to IDEO and partners for the grant and the support. And congratulations to all the participants and finalists. My name is Frank Weaver. I'm with Alianza Center. And the video that you just seen was after Hurricane Ian here in Central Florida. Many people were trapped inside their house because of the heavy rains. So our team ventured to those Florida streets to distribute much needed water, food, and supplies. Natural disasters are very close to our heart. That's because we have a personal connection to it. After Hurricane Maria devastation, many people of our team left the island to come to Florida, and that's how Alianza Center was born. With the support of Central Florida Hispanic community, we've been able to go beyond surviving to thriving. Because resilience doesn't end with just surviving a storm. It's about facing and overcoming daily challenges. It's about mutual aid, education, self-actualization, and preparing for crises, both small and large. It's also about recognizing and addressing the gaps. Many people in our community want to support environmental solutions, but they feel disconnected from those resources that could give them towards climate resilience and disaster preparedness. That's what led us to create the Resilience Hub Network, a network that aims to connect the Latino communities with essential entities, disaster relief, resources, and more importantly, connect with each other, because our most valuable resource we have is our community. With this prize money, we want to grow the Resilience Hub. We want to conduct more trainings in organizing and resilience and get community crisis intervention on health and well-being. And we want to make sure that all these trainings are made in Spanish, English, Portuguese, Creole, and also strengthen the relationship with local governments, entities, and each county where the hub exists. This has been an amazing project and grant. We are so appreciative for all the feedback we got. This challenge was very memorable because the community really came together to support us by leaving comments of encouragement, ideas, liking, and sharing the challenges with friends and family, really growing organically our support. Many people of our team will stop on the street and be like, hey, we see what you're doing on this grant proposal. We want to support you. How do we leave a comment? We help them to sign up. Is it okay if we leave a comment in Spanish? Because that's my preferred language. So if you see other comments, we have really good support from the whole community. And we really want to keep going with this, with all these finalists and all these participants. We really want to all come together to prepare for the big storm that is coming, to ensure that when it comes, we stand firm, united, and resilient. So we invite you all to join us by visiting our website, alianzacenter.org. In there, you can see all the different projects that we're doing and be connected, because we have such amazing finalists in this IDEO challenge that we really want to continue the momentum and work together for a better future. So I'm really grateful, IDEO. Thank you for the feedback. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Frank. It's been really great to engage with a whole lot of you at Alianza Center through this process, and we're really huge fans of your work. So looking forward to seeing how the network will grow across Florida and then across other regions. So thank you so much. And yes, absolutely. Like some of you are from same regions, some of you have overlapping work. So if you see any interest, it would be great to see you all keep in touch, as well as with us too. All right, I'm gonna go back to sharing. All right, our next project is, all right, our next project is Project Camp. I think Mikey is here to talk about it.
Yep, I am. Hi, everyone. My name is Mikey Latner, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of Project Camp. I'm a lifelong camp director using the tools of summer camp to care for kids in disasters. Project Camp provides care for children, relief for families, and resilience for communities. We provide free, trauma-informed day camps to support children and, by extension, their families and communities when impacted by climate-related natural disasters. We do this by leveraging relationships with existing community networks, local government, and youth-facing organizations to prepare communities to respond. We do this because disaster relief wasn't designed with children in mind. We're creating spaces that are unique to kids that help them navigate a difficult period. With disasters increasing in frequency and severity due to climate change, we need to provide solutions that lead to long-term resilience for children, particularly from more impacted communities. Traditionally marginalized communities will be the first to face damaging impacts of climate crisis. They already have in many cases. Our day camps allow kids to be kids, return to that sense of safety and routine, and to empower them. Project Camp invests in community stakeholders and networks, builds local capacity with local knowledge in order to achieve resilient communities. We're incredibly grateful to have been awarded this prize from IDEO and its partners. What's next for us is our team is actually preparing to head out to Hawaii in response to the wildfires there. With climate change increasing, like I said, in frequency and severity, we're in the midst of preparing to respond as well. Our greatest return on investment in the face of climate change is supporting our kids. We have to find solutions not just that adapt our society, but that build support long-term. That's how we ensure a future generation that is resilient and not traumatized by these disasters. Project Camp is tapping into local community networks building relationships across an array of organizations and government agencies, and working to provide them all with the tools needed to provide childcare that's culturally relevant. This prize will allow us to do what we're doing today, invest in our capacity to be there immediately after a disaster when kids and families need support most. For this challenge, some of the things that were really important to us were the fast turnaround. From the time of submission to the review and conversations with Denise and team, the decision you all made and getting the resources in the hands of organizations is fast, and that allows us all to get back to accomplishing our missions. Disaster funding for us is incredibly episodic. This prize allows Project Camp to show up faster, stronger, and more frequently. This prize is focused on solutions to climate change and invests in the adaptability and creates resilience. Thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. Congratulations to all of the other challenge winners. And if you're interested in staying up to date on our efforts in Hawaii and in other communities, please follow via the avenues on your screen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mikey. There's a lot of great things to say about what you do, especially focused on such a needed area, working with kids in recovery. We found your submission really unique and really impactful, focused on the recovery phase. And I can't give much more of a testimonial than to say I actually signed up to volunteer after the challenge ended, and I read through the submission. I was like, I'm going to volunteer. So I signed up, and I hope that everything you do in Hawaii goes well, and you get to interact with a lot of kids who need that kind of support. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our next project. This is from the Climate Network. They're focused on transforming responses to climate displacement and relocation through the traditional knowledge, wisdom, and experience of frontline Indigenous and community leaders. And Kristen and Lily are here to share.
Thanks so much, Denise. So I'm Kristen Marcel. I'm the director of the Climate Network, and we are the host of the Next Step cohort, which I'll talk about in a second. But just kind of upfront, want to share how exciting it is to meet with. And like, there's no other grant process that I've been a part of where you get to see everybody else that's been funded and talk about how exciting everybody's ideas are. And there's so much activity happening in the chat, and I'm connecting with other folks who are doing some really exciting things. And I just want to say, like, that for me is just a really exciting part of this process. Isha and Denise have also been incredibly responsive to all of our questions and providing guidance, and, you know, having a step that allows us to improve our proposal over the course of the application process is just really, really remarkable. And I just want to thank you so much. So the Climate Network is made up of more than 150 members across the United States, and we're bringing lived and learned expertise to the challenge of climate displacement and relocation in the United States, which you already heard some about this from Erica, and it's just an enormous problem that continues to grow. We have a council with leaders from communities that are facing climate displacement and field leaders in adaptation practice and science who are guiding our work. You can find out more about us at climategration.org, and I'll put that in the chat following my remarks. So the challenge that we seek to address is, in partnership with Preparing Our Home, is climate displacement in the US and Canada. And almost 3.5 million adults were displaced last year by climate risk, and millions more will be forced to move in the decades to come. There's just no good process right now to support people. There's no system to support people that have to move from climate risk. And we know that frontline communities are facing the greatest risk and receiving the least amount of support from public and private programs following climate disasters to recover and prepare for a resilient future. The trust and confidence in the existing programs is limited because disaster assistance programs are not designed to generate stable, healthy communities that are safer from risk. So we need a more holistic approach. Our solution enables direct investment in community-led responses to the climate crisis. We're supporting a peer learning and participatory grant-making initiative that was co-designed by community-based organizational and tribal leaders in our network, as well as field leaders in climate adaptation and philanthropy. And it's called the Next Step cohort. We know that frontline leaders need to be leading these conversations because they are the ones trying to navigate existing broken programs now, and they know where the support needs are. They know where the gaps are, the missing pieces are. They are the most powerful, trusted communicators and organizers and advocates in their communities and more broadly across national scales. And their solutions and their ways of working align with their own communities' cultures and their needs and visions. We're piloting this cohort model now. We're supporting members. They are supporting each other to design and implement projects that are addressing climate risk and displacement in their own communities in coastal Louisiana, in Puerto Rico, in northeastern Oklahoma, and in rural Missouri. And we're excited to use this IDEO Challenge funding to mobilize the technical knowledge and skills and influence of members within our network to advance these projects and the policy innovations that they're leading towards. We are excited to invite some new members into this cohort model. And we are very excited to be partnering with Preparing Our Home to be thinking about how to share this information more broadly with other frontline communities and with policymakers in the disaster management industry in order to create more equitable, just systems and practices for those communities that are responding now to climate risk. And I will hand it over to Lily to talk about the training aspect of this proposal. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you so much to Denise and Isha and everybody today. Really grateful to be here as well. My name is Lily, and I'm a program director for Preparing Our Home, which is an Indigenous-led program. We've had over 90 communities participate in our program in various capacities. And we are first and foremost based on Indigenous science. So we don't actually use the word natural disaster that has been used here broadly. We acknowledge that disasters are not natural, that we all play a role in creating the disaster, and that we can do things differently to make sure that they don't happen. So a lot of our program is based on land. So land as the main teacher. We do community mapping, capacity building, technical training. And one thing that we found in the operation of the program, this is our 8th, 9th year, is that often Indigenous peoples are portrayed as victims or the kind of deficit-based narrative. So we are very much a strength-based program. And the other thing we found that there is a lot of knowledge held within communities that really needs to be leveraged and to improve disaster management practices. As many people have spoken, these can be very harmful places that ignore the youth, that ignore the elders. So they're designed really around kind of middle class, property owning, insured, body abled, you know, that kind of group of people, which means there is a silent majority outside of this group. So one thing that we're designing as part of this prize is actually a training for the disaster management industry that is led by Indigenous peoples. So we're flipping the table a bit, where Indigenous peoples will be mentoring primarily non-Indigenous participants in how to do culturally safe disaster management as well as planned relocation. I'm really grateful to be here and very happy to connect with you after the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen and Lily. This was such a uniquely focused cohort that we were all really inspired and excited by the focus and the action that you all are planning to take. So looking forward to see how it develops, and I will be in touch because I would love to hear more personally. All right, next up is Hohonu. Brian and Kevin are both here. I believe Kevin will be talking. Hohonu is based in Hawaii. So we wanted to just start with mentioning that you can make donations at some of the organizations that Brian was mentioning to me. So Brian, do you mind typing in the chat the organization you were telling me about if you want to send any donations for the wildfires that are happening? And just want to open with that we're all thinking about the communities there and hoping that everybody's safe and response is swift. Hohonu, I'm also going to stop sharing because you don't have a slide. So Kevin.
Yeah, I'll just be speaking. First, thank you so much for all the thoughts, and luckily our team members and our families are safe. So my name is Kevin. I'm the COO of Hohonu. Hohonu provides actionable data and insights to protect communities from future flooding. Given the audience here, I won't belabor the point about how climate change is a global issue, but everywhere from Fiji to South Carolina to South Africa and everywhere in between, climate change is impacting how humanity thinks about its future. And as just one example, in the US, Charleston, South Carolina had the same amount of flood events over 2 recent years as compared to 77 years pre-2000. And so with that increased uncertainty in how climate change is impacting communities, communities really want to understand how to ultimately protect themselves. And in order to protect, at Hohonu, we believe you first have to understand exactly what you're dealing with. And for us, that means to have proper data to base important decisions on. And so what we've done, and it's the technology we've built, has come out of Brian's research lab at the University of Hawaii. Brian's an oceanographer. We've developed a comprehensive real-time, pretty much weather monitoring system that proactively monitors water levels and provides crucial insights about potential flooding threats. So our system consists of low-cost internet-connected sensors that are cheap and easy enough for any community to install along their coastline or even inland rivers and streams. And then these sensors transmit water level data in real time, which we then use to generate short-term and longer-term insights about what communities can do to address these flooding challenges. And a unique approach that we take compared to other sensor technology companies is that all the software and the data we build is open by default. And so it's publicly available on all of our web and mobile apps. And so thus far, we've been deployed in over 100 locations across 13 states. And so we've helped communities to collect and publicly share over 1 million hours of water level data in these flood-prone areas. Some of our customers and partners include NOAA IUS, American Shore and Beach Preservation Association, Gulf of Maine Research Institute, and others to support communities around decision-making processes like road closures, near-term real-time emergency management, as well as longer-term coastal resilience. And so we're super excited to have been part of this challenge. We're excited to work with the IDEO partners to select a region of high priority areas to spearhead up to 30 new sensor deployments. Identifying communities and geographies that they care most about serving, and then thinking about how our data can fit into existing products such as early warning, modeling, and then even other products like parametric insurance. This challenge was great. It was great to get active engagement from the community and really crisp and clear feedback during the process, and a really quick turnaround time. I think of all of the kind of applications and challenges that we've been part of, this seemed to be like the most efficient and clear and really well-run process. So really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for sharing, Kevin. I personally see a lot of alignment between Hohonu and some of the other solutions here, especially the coastal and coastal resilience focus. So I hope you all can get connected. But also just to say, we were really inspired by Hohonu and the amount of work you're doing at such scale, and really looking forward to see what the next regions you're going to implement and will be. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is addressing wildfire risk using AI to target household level mitigation. This also comes at how individuals and communities can utilize complex climate data. And SBP is the submitter. And I think Liz is here to share from SBP.
Yeah, thanks, Denise. How are you? Thanks, everybody, and congrats to all who have been recognized and given this great prizes. And we're thinking of all of our colleagues and friends in Hawaii and hoping for a speedy recovery. My name is Liz McCartney. I'm the COO of SBP. We are a nonprofit organization that exists to shrink the time between disaster and recovery. We started in the wake of Katrina in New Orleans, rebuilding homes for homeowners who really didn't have the financial resources to put their houses back together. 17 years later, we're continuing to do that work in communities that have been impacted by disaster in the United States and in the Caribbean. We run into and meet a lot of people who say this: I had no idea that this could happen to me. And over the years, and after rebuilding thousands and thousands of homes, we decided that we couldn't just react, that we had to do more. If we really cared about our clients and cared about the communities that we worked in, we had to do more than just react after. And so now SBP provides services and programs and partners with communities before, during, and after disaster, with the hope that one day our rebuilding program won't be needed anymore, and that we will have a disaster sector infrastructure that can appropriately meet the needs of communities before, during, and after disaster. Today, what SBP does is the following things. We help disaster survivors access additional funding from FEMA. As many of you know, current awards today hover at less than $2,000 for someone who's been impacted by a disaster, who doesn't have insurance, and is most likely unbankable. Over 60% of people that we help see an increase of more than $7,000 in FEMA funding. So that's the first thing. We help survivors rebuild their homes after disaster who don't have any other pathway home. We rebuild in a resilient way with the hope that they're better prepared for future perils. We know more storms and disasters are coming. So when we rebuild, we want to do it in a way that's going to position people for long-term success. In addition to that, SBP trains government agencies that have been recipients of large chunks of federal disaster aid money on how to design and implement programs effectively, but more importantly, that really meet the needs of people who need it the most. And several folks on this call have already talked about just how ineffective, unfortunately, many of those programs are. And our team is working to help governments use that money more effectively in communities and households that really desperately need that funding. And then two other final things that we do is we share what we've learned and also funding with other nonprofit organizations, especially those in communities who find themselves in the position where they have to help their communities rebuild, but have never had to do that before. And then the last thing, and this ties into the challenge here, is that we train households and communities how to prepare for disasters and mitigate their risk beforehand. And so up until now, we've been creating trainings and talking to communities and understanding their risk using the tools that are available to us. Very recently, we were connected with a company, an insurance tech company called Zesty AI. And as the name suggests, they use artificial intelligence to help insurance companies understand the risk profile of communities and customers. We were very fortunate to partner with Zesty on this project to help us as practitioners who are working in communities figure out how can we identify at the household level what people's risk of fire is, and then what mitigation strategies can we implement to prevent catastrophic impact from fires. So we are incredibly grateful to Zesty AI and that team for partnering with us on this project and sharing data that candidly, y'all, we otherwise would not have access to. And so our goal is to reduce wildfire risk. We're going to do this using this very advanced technology. The other thing that's going to happen is that by reducing wildfire risk, we increase the chance that people who currently can't afford insurance can actually afford insurance. So not only is their property better protected and they're mitigating their risk, they're also becoming more insurable. And as many of you know, whether you're living in an area that's prone to fires or flooding, insurance has just become unaffordable for many, many, many households. And so we see this as this project is sort of achieving two outcomes simultaneously. So what we're going to do is a variation of what we've done in other communities that are looking to help the local community attract both funding and capacity to bring large scale mitigation measures to their high risk, high need communities. In this case, we're going to be doing that using the Zesty AI data. We'll be helping communities increase their access to funding, increase capacity to manage these types of programs, providing complementary education. And ultimately, we seek to rewrite the story of what wildfire risk looks like for our most vulnerable communities. So we're really grateful to be selected. You could not have made this process easier, and we're so grateful for it. As others have said, like the level of transparency, the feedback during the process was just, that never happens ever. So thank you. And we're just really honored to be selected. So thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing, Liz. It's really impressive to see that you're bridging that gap between complex climate data and how it applies at the household level. So really excited to see the communities that you're going to have an impact in. So thank you for sharing. All right. Next up is our advanced solutions. So we're at the final stretch. The first advanced solution is BurnBot, and Anukul is here to talk about it.
Well, thank you. It is so inspiring and honestly energizing to see the winners here and also the breadth of the submissions to this challenge. So thank you for having us here. So yes, I'm Anukul. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a technology company called BurnBot. Our mission is to prevent destructive wildfires by scaling fields work. A large reason why we have destructive wildfires is because we have a lot of dead vegetation around our towns, around our communities, around our roadways, around our power lines. And today, even though we know fuel breaks can make the difference between a community burning down or not burning down, we do not have the mechanism to make fuel treatment scalable and efficient. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So as I mentioned, today fuel treatments are still expensive. They require trained workforces to be able to do this job. Fuel and vegetation grows back again once it rains. So it's not a one-off task. We have to keep doing it. And the scale of the problem is, quite honestly, kind of mind-boggling. There's about 200 million acres just in the US that need treatment. And our current capacity is about 1/100th of that. So we can today do about 2 to 3 million acres with the workforce and the technologies that we have today. So the question is, even though we know that fuel treatments can make the difference between a community burning down or not, we can't scale this known solutions. So how can technology play a role? And that's really what BurnBot is trying to accomplish. So next slide, please. So BurnBot, really, we look at ourselves really as a tech-forward fuels treatment company. And so what we do is we bring in machines and mechanizations in the form of remote operated machines that can tackle very dense vegetation like brush and chaparral that may be near an HOA, near a township, near a power line. But we also augment that with machines that we have developed, which allow the application of prescribed fire or good fire or controlled burning in an all-weather fashion. But particularly in the America West and also broadly, we know fire is actually ecologically the best way to tackle dead vegetation. But applying fire, which really traces its origins, back 10,000 years when the indigenous people and the ranchers following them would use. The challenge of using this good fire today is it's very, very weather dependent. It has risks associated with it. It sometimes creates smoke, so you can't treat the areas near townships or near roadways or near power lines using ecological fire. So what BurnBot has developed is machines that can use synthesized prescribed fire, but do so without any smoke, do so without any risk of escape, and do so in a mechanized manner. So essentially allowing our workforce capacity to 10x in their capacity. So what BurnBot brings is machines that can tackle dense vegetation in the form of these remote operated masticators. We bring machines that can do controlled burning, and then we augment all of that with a trained workforce, technicians who are former fire folks. And we wrap this all together to offer a service where we come in, we assess the fuel loads, we treat the fuel loads, and then we provide evidence that indeed the fuel loads have been tackled, and therefore the risk for that community is now lowered. So next slide, please. So as I mentioned, what we do is we offer this as a service. Today we have pretty good traction with utility companies such as PG&E here in California, where we are contemplating using this technology to reduce ignitions around power lines. We also believe that this technology, because of its precise nature, can be used around evacuation corridors. As we have learned from other wildfire disasters, one that comes to mind is the Paradise Fire. A lot of people, a lot of loss of life actually happen on evac roads. So it is important that these evac roads are treated, just as it's important that our transmission lines are treated, so we reduce ignitions and provide safe passageway. In addition to that, it's not just the wildland-urban interface. Our forests also need fuel treatment because we've had 100 years of fuel accumulation. So we have this debt that we're carrying in our forest that needs treatment. And last but not least, we think, because of the nature of our service, which is really precise vegetation management without any smoke impacts, we can bring this technology into communities, into townships, into HOAs, into homes or neighboring homes. And that's, if you go to the next slide, please. And that's why we're really excited about this this challenge. It really allows us to take what we have done in other areas and bring it to the community, particularly the communities that cannot afford such kind of fuel treatment. Just to give you a sense of numbers, today, if you were to apply, prophylactic retardants, or if you were to do vegetation management, it could cost between $2,000 to $5,000 an acre. And this vegetation management, will not last very long. And then when you kind of think about the median household income in an area like Redding or Chico, it's $5,000. You can't, this vegetation management is just not possible at its current price points. It's just not accessible. And one of the promises of using technologies, we can bring that price point down and also eliminate a lot of the risk associated with how traditional vegetation management is done. The insurance industry is one of the things that we want to use this challenge to really catalyze action from the insurance industry to really kind of come in and support fuels work in a preventive fashion to reduce the risk of wildfires to our vulnerable communities. And the reality is the science is there. I cite over here 2 reports that came out from Willis Tower Watson and Marsh McLennan, 2 well-known insurance companies that point to the risk reduction outcomes that can be had if you reduce the fuel loads, because as the triangle here shows, reducing fuel loads reduces intensity, reducing intensity reduces risk. So in principle, the insurance industry should recognize and should come in and support the fact that, fuel breaks can reduce risk against wildfires for entire communities. And what we hope to do with this challenge is really make that happen. We seek to pilot our technology in 2 communities. We seek to kind of bridge the gap between fuel treatments and risk reduction calculations. And at the end of the day, really create insurance programs that allow for communities to do risk reduction at a more systematic scale, while rewarding and incentivizing these communities with reduced premiums, so that this risk reduction work is done. I gotta say, and I gotta just echo what everybody else has said, it's been really amazing and wonderful to work with IDEO as part of this resilience challenge. Just echoing what folks have said, the open nature of it is so exciting. It's so energizing to see the breadth of the submissions that came in. And usually when you see so many submissions, you think, oh, this is going to take forever to get a decision point. And that was the other part that was kind of so surprising, that not only did you kind of commit to a timeline up front, but you also kind of met it, and I would argue even beat it. So that usually doesn't happen together. Open as well as, open transparency as well as speed of execution. And I applaud you for kind of bringing this challenge together. This is exactly the kind of agile capital that we need as all of us as climate entrepreneurs try to build a more resilient future for our communities. So thanks very much for having us.
Thank you so much, Anukul. I'll also just say, just watching the videos of how BurnBot's machines work on their submission was really impressive. So I recommend everybody watch how they do really precise controlled burning. But thank you so much. All right. Our next participant is Delfire Sentinel FD3. Gilberto is here to talk about Delfire.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. I'm Gilberto De Salvo, and I'm the CEO of Delfire. Thank you, Anukul, for the really good introduction to everything fire there. That's going to make my life a lot easier. So what happens when preventative measures fail? Well, today, it takes a very long time to potentially detect that fire from a nearby hilltop or somebody calling 911. We're trying to address that problem by shortening the timeline that it takes to get a warning out to communities or utilities when a fire breaks out. We've developed our system, we've developed the hardware and the software, and we've managed to shorten the timeline by which you can detect a fire down to about a minute, including a report with a picture for confirmation. We've made our system so that it's functional in very remote areas, and so that it retains functionality in those areas where it's key for it to continue functioning. And we've made it in such a way that the data is fairly open and can be sent to anyone in the community so that you do not get a repeat of what happened in Paradise. We want to make sure that both the first responders and people can get a warning. So what are we doing next? Well, we're going to deploy our units in several locations throughout California, partly with the help of this grant and partly with the help of the Rocket Fund grant. We've selected these sites based on high fire risk areas and where we can have the most impact. And thank you for this award. We'll be able to expand this program to a few more locations and support them. Currently, we've deployed 3 units over the last month, and we're looking to deploy another 2 or 3 this month and next month, completing this initial phase of the program. And then we're working to select a couple other areas, and would love some input or ideas if you have some high fire risk communities that'd be interested in working with us. And in a nutshell, that's what we do. Basically, we're trying to be a stopgap measure and trying to help get resources to the fire quicker than it is today. We also have a couple of partnerships where we're pairing up with helicopter dip sites. These are portable water sources that can be deployed in communities so that you're ready to fight a fire with helicopters, and we're automating those remotely. And we're also looking for other partnership opportunities where we can work with other people in the fire ecosystem or flooding or any other really disaster ecosystem where they might be able to leverage our platform or subparts of our platform in a way that's beneficial to them. So we want to be a technology enabler and a data enabler for everybody out there. And so, yeah, what I really liked about the challenge is the open platform. Thank you, Adio, for that. That's been really a pleasure to work on that and being able to get feedback throughout the whole process for us. That's been really a unique ability to get that learning experience. Normally, you only get that learning experience and you have to reapply a year later, and that makes it very difficult to have an impact in such a fast-moving environment as what we're trying to tackle here. So for climate change, I think that's something that other grant funders should look at using this type of approach, because it was really powerful. And what was unexpected and surprising is, give us a good way to learn about everybody else's technology and opportunities for partnering in a way that's very difficult to do in a grant environment. I've seen several other platforms try to do this, but never quite this well in a way where you can go in and read everybody's submission and then reach out to them and get a good way to partner up and really have a bigger impact than any solution can have in its own, because this is going to take an ecosystem to solve the problem that we're facing here. And so I'd like to say thank you to CSA and Guidewire IDEO for this opportunity, and we look forward to making an impact on the frontline communities that need our solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, as well as all the nice things that you've said. I'll also just add that it was really impressive to see the multi-sensor system and the shortened timeline, as well as the innovative thinking around who gets access to the reporting. So, oh, there it is. That's awesome. But it's really amazing to see like how you're distributing the information as well as getting the information. So very excited to see what comes out of your pilot program. So thank you so much. All right, our very last winner is Raincoat. Jonathan is here to talk about it.
Hey everyone, it's so nice to be here, and it's an honor to be amongst so many incredible projects. Honestly, I feel a little out of place because I think everyone's working on such really cool things. So I'm Jonathan. I'm co-founder of Raincoat. Raincoat is a startup that was founded in Puerto Rico a couple years after Hurricane Maria hit the island in 2017. And specifically, it was founded in response to some pretty bad experiences related to private insurance, but also public sector disaster response. Just as an example, 5 years after the hurricane, there are still 1.6 billion in insurance claims that still haven't been paid. Today, 6 years after the event, there's still talk about federal aid related to reconstruction. So across multiple fronts, just really insane timelines. And I kind of lived this firsthand with my family. I'm actually calling from Puerto Rico, and most of the team is based out of here. And the saddest part is that these issues are never universally distributed. Unfortunately, they're held by frontline communities the hardest, and those who really shouldn't be impacted the most are the ones that are impacted the most. For example, if I say, think about insurance for climate disasters, what comes to most people's mind? If you think about it a little bit, there's a high probability that you're going to think about property insurance or a house. But when you really think about it, what if you don't own property? What if you rent? What if you have an informal business that can't work because of fires, floods, or hurricanes? What if you just don't even have a title for your home, which is very common in these frontline communities? There's a lot of financial impact that isn't accounted for. And even if you have insurance, there's a chance that the carrier might leave the state, as unfortunately a lot of news has been portraying. You might be waiting for years for a resolution, and maybe at the end of that resolution, it wasn't really the one that you were expecting either. So there's been a lot of talk in recent years about how do you improve insurance within this new context, particularly with everything that's happening with climate change. And there's been a lot of ideas on solutions, and one of those has been parametric insurance. Kevin mentioned it. I like to call parametric insurance basically fully automated climate insurance. And the general concept, right, is the ability to build an insurance product that can detect an event instantly and then execute payments based on the intensity of that event in an immediate way to everyone who has a policy. This way, people can have money immediately after disaster, and they can survive, relocate, or use that money for whatever it is that they need. So there's been a lot of conversation around parametrics. And in recent years, parametrics have grown in a couple sectors, specifically in governments and corporates. But a lot of it hasn't actually reached regular people. And a lot has been talked about of how do you bring these type of insurance products down to community levels, down to individuals. But it's been really difficult to pull that off. And some of the biggest hurdles in doing that have been technological and data related. How do you detect an event at a granular level? How do you price this sustainably? How does a person receive the benefit? How is this integrated in a sustainable way? There are all these aspects that are really complicated, and it's very hard to address some of these if you don't at least have the baseline technology required to actually pull it off. So our hope is to really push the envelope of what's possible in this specific space, and we're really building the necessary infrastructure that allows these type of solutions to be broadly distributed and get directly down to the people. We're super excited to work on the evolution of the category. We expect to have some deployments in the mainland US, hopefully with partners of this program. I've gotten a ton of ideas just listening to all of you talking. For example, I was literally texting Kevin while we were talking because I think his sensors could really be awesome to pilot, specifically with something that we can deploy. So in general, I'm just really excited to be here, and I think it's a really interesting space, and really looking forward to push it within the US and see what we can build. One of the questions that I know Denise brought up was what has been unexpected or surprising or memorable. I think to me, something that's been really interesting is as I was reading so many applications, there were so many people that shared similar origin stories. I was actually really surprised to see that. Most people had some sort of relevant event in their past that impacted their lives or impacted the lives of people that they cared. And they made a decision to shift their attention towards these causes. And I thought that was really special because sometimes it feels a little lonely to be in this space. I'm sure it's really hard for everyone. Everyone's probably working very a ton, and this is a very difficult space across the board. So I have a lot of empathy to that. And it was really nice to see all the different stories and all the different journeys that kind of have very similar starting points. And to me, that was really special. So I have an immense amount of respect for everyone in the program, for the organizers as well. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Personally, I was really inspired by the way you approach insurance, as well as your personal story and how you wrote in your submission what the possible futures can be. So really excited to see how we continue to collaborate across the board. Also, just pointing out, Jonathan is in Puerto Rico and Kevin is in Hawaii. So we're going across the board through North America. So very excited for that. Wow, that was everybody. I'm going to pause here for a round of applause and just congratulate all of you for incredible submissions. Congratulations, everybody. Awesome. I know our partners also want to just say thank you and say some closing words to everyone. So we have Kira Payton from CSAA and Liz Henderson from Aon, who are just going to say some closing remarks for us. So Kira, would you like to go first?
I would be happy to. And though my camera was working this entire time, it's now, oh, we'll see. We'll see if I pop up. Hi. Thanks. It was so nice to meet the winners that I hadn't had a chance to yet. I'm Kira Payton. I work at CSAA Insurance Group. We are a AAA insurer. CSAA is one of the top property and casualty insurance carriers in the United States. We're a coast-to-coast organization serving more than 17 million AAA members. At CSAA Insurance Group, we really strive to be industry leaders, and we think it's appropriate for the insurance industry to be leading in this space. Our purpose, our mission is to help members prevent, prepare, and recover from life's uncertainties. And we're seeing firsthand the impacts that climate change is having, whether it's wildfires, atmospheric rivers, extreme winds, heat, all of it. We're living in a time of climate uncertainty, and we want to lead by example and respond to that climate crisis with a sense of urgency. I know not only mean that climate impact, but that broader notion of sustainability that also encompasses societal issues. So looking to help those most greatly affected by the impacts. And the focus is to help build resiliency in the communities we serve and mitigate climate impacts. So that's a bit about why we sponsor this challenge. It's been incredible to see the responses and engagement. Dennis, you went through the stats already. That success, it makes me so hopeful, right? Climate risk alone is a formidable challenge, but when it's combined with floods and fires and winds, it's really monumental. And the news this summer has been a constant reminder of that. I join those of you sending your positive thoughts to the residents of Maui. But I take some comfort in knowing that there are at least 418 great ideas and smart people like all of you out there working on solutions. The volume and diversity of the solutions we saw was more than I ever would have imagined. Many of the winners mentioned it, but the way that IDEO designs this challenge is a collaborative process where community members get to contribute and build off of each other's ideas is just so good. And to me, it proves that a more sustainable, equitable, resilient future is for all of us to design together. So I just want to congratulate all the winners and thank everyone who participated. I'm looking forward to staying in touch with as many of you as I can, and I encourage all of today's attendees to continue to support these ideas and make them available to those who stand to benefit from them the most. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you so much, Kira. I know a lot of people are really excited to connect with you and CSIA, so I will definitely be making introductions. So thank you so much. All right, and we have Liz from Aon, who was our other founding sponsor. So Liz, would you like to say some words too?
Of course, and Kira, I think something you just said was such a wonderful sentiment about how the solutions that we need to actually combat the impacts of climate change on communities will require so many ideas and so many passionate people really working together. And that's exactly what I loved, and it was my favorite part about watching all of you participate in this challenge, working with the IDEO team, learning more about how they are enabling more innovation across a large set of complex problems. It's just very exciting. At Aon, we are for those who don't know, we are an insurance and reinsurance intermediary. So we work with clients across the insurance space, as well as multiple different sectors of the economy, like energy, government, retail, financial institutions. And in every single conversation we're having with clients, the topic of climate change and the role that Aon can play to really help not just build a resilient world, but enable a transition to a more sustainable world is core to what our clients want from us. And it is core to what Aon wants to be driving for all of our customers. And so participating in this challenge is our way of really trying to identify the ideas that are aligned with our mission to help clients make better decisions, and to empower kind of human productivity and company output over all of our clients that we touch globally. I look forward to continuing to hear from all of you and all of the ways that you guys take this reward and accelerate the missions that you've articulated so wonderfully today. And I don't think I've had the opportunity to really directly meet anyone myself, but I know that many of you had heard from some of my colleagues at Aon and some of the experts that we have in the space of climate change, climate resiliency, and climate transition. And we're very excited to continue to find ways to partner with all of you. So thank you so much. What a wonderful end to my week. Congratulations to all of the winners. And really, I wish the best for all of you and look forward to hearing more in the future. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Liz. You said it so wonderfully. I almost want to just end it there, but I will also just share some closing reflections on behalf of IDEO and the challenge team. I don't know how much this came across or how much we mentioned this, but IDEO is an innovation and design company. So we partner with many organizations, companies, businesses, nonprofits to tackle the global problems of today and reimagine new futures together. So a lot of the time we work across healthcare, tech, finance, climate, and this was just such a unique, exciting opportunity for us to learn so much about climate resilience from all of you, help mentor and support new emerging ideas. And a big part of that was the mentorship process and our unique approach to design. So hopefully you all got a little bit of that spirit of design and innovation from us. And we would love to continue that and help think about co-design, human-centered design, and what can be the future of climate resilience altogether. So just noting everything everybody said, the uniqueness of being able to be together, not just us as panelists, but we also have a lot of attendees here who've actually stuck with us for the whole 90 minutes. So thank you, all of the people still listening in. And if this sparks anything for you, please reach out to us, to our winners directly, as well as to our finalists and participants on the website. There were so many great ideas that not everybody's in the winning pool, but there's still lots of amazing things on the website. So I encourage everybody to just continue to keep getting in touch, keep collaborating, and looking forward to see what the next almost year brings for all of us, what new collaborations, pilots, programs that we're all going to run. So on behalf of the challenge team, Isha, Connor, from IDEO that are here, thank you so much. It has been amazing to get to know all of you, and congratulations. All right. All right, have a lovely weekend, everybody. Looking forward to chatting more in the future.
Bye, y'all.